Hey designers, in this video, we're going to create a website landing page in Figma and prototype it as well. So let's dive in and get started. First, we'll create a new design file. Click on the icon in the top left corner or press the F key on your keyboard to bring up the frame options. Here, you'll select the frame size you want to design for. For this project, we'll go with the desktop frame. Now, zoom out in Figma to get a better view of the frame. To do this, hold down Ctrl and use the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in and out. If you want to drag around the screen, just press and hold the spacebar, and you'll be able to move the view easily. Let's start the actual design by selecting the rectangle tool and drawing a rectangle, which will serve as the placeholder for the images. Now, go to the Fill section on the right, and click on the Choose Image option to place your image inside the rectangle. For this example, the first genre we're working on is drama, so I already have a background image saved for a drama movie. It's helpful to save the images ahead of time to speed things up. Let's select the drama background and insert it into the frame. Once the image is in place, feel free to adjust the exposure or any other settings to match your design. The key feature here is that when we prototype this design, the background will change based on the genre selected. So, when drama is selected, the background will show a drama theme, and when action is selected, the background will update accordingly. We'll follow the same process for genres like thriller and comedy. Let's rename the current layer to Drama BG. Once done, we'll duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl+D on the keyboard. This duplicate will be for the action background, so head over to the Fill section, choose Image, and select the action background. Now, rename this layer to Action BG. Next, we'll duplicate the Action BG layer by pressing Ctrl+D again. This duplicate will be for the Thriller background. And rename this layer to Thriller BG. Now, let's repeat this process one more time. Duplicate the Thriller BG layer by pressing Ctrl+D. This duplicate will be for the comedy background. For each of these layers, you'll want to adjust the exposure, contrast, and saturation based on the specific background. Once that's done, rename the layer to Comedy BG. For the first frame, we'll keep the Drama BG visible. Select all other layers, and set their opacity to 0 so that only the Drama BG is visible. When we move to the next frame, such as Action BG, we'll adjust the opacity again, making Action BG fully visible, 100%, and the other backgrounds invisible, opacity 0. Now, let's apply a subtle filter to the Drama BG to prevent the bright colors from interfering with the text. To do this, select the Rectangle tool and draw a rectangle over the background. Fill it with black, and then go to Effects. Select Layer Blur and increase the blur amount significantly to soften the rectangle. Next, adjust the blending mode of the rectangle. You can experiment with different options like Screen, Multiply, or Overlay, but for now, we'll go with Overlay. Reduce the opacity to ensure the effect is subtle and doesn't overpower the design. Finally, rename this rectangle layer to Filter to keep things organized and prevent confusion later on. Now let's take the Rectangle tool again and create a new rectangle. We'll give it a slight curve by adjusting the corner radius, and then position it where we want. Once that's done, press and hold Alt on your keyboard while dragging the rectangle to create a duplicate. This duplicate will be a bit smaller, so resize and adjust its position accordingly. Next, select both of these rectangles and move them outside of the desktop frame for now. We need 4 rectangles for our 4 movie genres, so let's duplicate the smaller rectangle 2 more times. Now, we have 4 rectangles in total, which will hold the movie thumbnails. Let's start by selecting the first rectangle for Drama BG. Go to the Fill section, click on the small image icon, and choose the Drama movie thumbnail. Once the image is selected, you can tweak the contrast, exposure, and saturation to fit the design. Now, move to the second rectangle. Go to Fill, select Image, and choose the Action Movie thumbnail. Adjust the settings as needed. For the third rectangle, follow the same steps, but this time choose the Thrill Movie thumbnail. Lastly, for the fourth rectangle, you know it's comedy, so select the Comedy Movie thumbnail and make any necessary adjustments. Once all the thumbnails are in place, it's time to space them evenly. Select all four rectangles, go to the top toolbar, and click on the small icon for Distribute Horizontal Spacing. Now, right-click on the selected rectangles and choose Frame Selection. You can also use the shortcut Ctrl-Alt-G for this. This groups the rectangles into a frame. Next, click on the Clip Content option. When you select this option, resizing the frame will ensure that the contents inside it adjust automatically. Finally, select the entire frame, move it back inside the desktop frame, and adjust its position to fit within the design. Now, let's adjust the position of the frame containing the movie covers. Scale up the filter background we created earlier and adjust its opacity to ensure it blends well with the design. Change the blending mode from overlay to multiply, and tweak the opacity to get the desired effect. Next, select the main larger movie cover and give it a stroke. Increase the stroke width to about 3 pixels. After adjusting, if it still looks too thin, click on it again and increase the stroke width to 5 pixels. This should provide a more defined outline for the movie cover. Now, let's add some text to our landing page. Select the text tool and type Streamflex for the website name. Choose the Jersey font and make sure to increase its size so it stands out. For the text flex, change its color to red to give it some vibrancy. Adjust the size of the text as needed and position it in the top left corner of the design. Next, use the text tool again to create another heading. Type Featured Movies, adjust its size and style, and place it below the website name. Position it appropriately so that it stands out as a section header. Now, let's create the genre texts. Duplicate the Featured Movies text and place it below. For the first genre, write Explore Drama. Next, duplicate this text 3 more times and change the text accordingly. The second will be Explore Action. The third will be Explore Thriller. The fourth will be Explore Comedy. Make sure to adjust the positioning of each text line so they are evenly spaced and aligned. Right-click on the text and choose Frame Selection, or you can press Ctrl+Alt+G on your keyboard to group the text. Click on the Clip Content option to ensure that only the visible part of the text is shown when we resize the frame. It seems that the background layer is interfering with the text readability. To fix this, select the filter layer we created earlier and duplicate it by pressing Ctrl+C to copy it and then Ctrl+V to paste it right on top. Now, adjust the size of this new layer so that it only covers the area where the text is visible. Decrease the opacity and increase the blur to help the text stand out better against the background. Align both the text and the filtered layer for a cohesive look. Take the text tool again and create a new text box. First, reduce the size of the text to fit neatly within the design. You can paste in some descriptive text about drama movies here. To ensure the text box has the same height as the text, click on the Auto Height option. This will automatically adjust the height of the box to fit the text perfectly. Next, take the text tool once more and right watch to encourage viewers to engage. Increase the size of this text and make it bold for emphasis. Right-click on the text and select Auto Layout to manage the spacing better. Now, click on the plus icon to add a fill to the text box, and let's give it a vibrant red fill to match the overall theme of the website. Let's adjust the size of the button and make it more visually appealing by curving the corners. First, select the button box and adjust its horizontal and vertical layout to ensure it's centered and balanced. Increase the curvature to give it a softer look. Now, make the text size smaller for better alignment and readability. Next, position the Watch Now button so it looks good within the layout. Now, let's add navigation links at the top right. Use the text tool to type Home. After that, duplicate this text layer, replace Home with Discover. And then duplicate it again to create the My List link. One more time, duplicate this text layer and write Search. Select all these text layers and align them for a clean look. To evenly space them, click on the icon for Distribute Horizontal Spacing. Then, right-click on the selected text layers and choose Group Selection, or simply press Ctrl+G. Position this group in the top right corner of the design. Now, let's create 4 smaller circles at the bottom of the landing page to indicate the current page. Select the Ellipse tool and draw a circle. Position it at the bottom. Duplicate this circle 3 times, so you have 4 in total. For the first circle, set its opacity to 100% to indicate the current page. For the remaining 3 circles, select them and adjust their opacity to 50%. As you navigate through the pages, remember that the first circle will have full opacity when you're on the first page. On the second page, the second circle will be highlighted in the same way. Let's start by selecting the circles at the bottom of the screen and applying Auto Layout. This will help keep them evenly spaced and centered. Make sure they look good at the bottom of your design. Now, we're ready to create the second landing page. Select the Desktop 1 layer and duplicate it by holding down Alt and dragging it to the right. To change the background, close the Desktop 1 layers and open Desktop 2. Select the Drama BG layer and set its opacity to 0%. Then, select the Action BG layer and adjust its opacity to 100% to make it fully visible. Next, let's change the text from Explore Drama to Explore Action. Select the frame text and use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move it upward. This will ensure that the new text, Explore Action, is properly positioned on the screen. Now, we need to replace the paragraph text with content relevant to the action genre. select the paragraph text and paste in your new paragraph about Explore Action. To highlight the current page, select the second circle and set its opacity to 100%. Change the opacity of the first circle back to 54% to indicate it's not the current page anymore. Before adjusting the movie covers, let's set up rulers for better alignment. You can do this by dragging rulers from the left side of your workspace. Place one ruler where the main movie cover is located and another on the side for the smaller movie cover. This will help you maintain consistent placement as you make adjustments. Place a ruler at the bottom and one at the top of the design as well. This will serve as a reference to ensure everything stays aligned correctly while you work. Now that we have our layout set up and ready, first, select the main movie cover and make it smaller by dragging the corner. Ensure the top edge aligns with the ruler for the smaller movie cover, so it remains proportional and consistent. Now, use the arrow keys on your keyboard to nudge the movie cover to the left side, aligning it with the ruler. Next, select the other three layers, the smaller movie covers, and move them to the left as well, making sure they stay within the boundaries of the rulers. This ensures that everything remains aligned and visually balanced. Now, we'll focus on the action movie cover. Increase its size so it becomes the main highlight, and apply the same white stroke we used for the drama movie cover. Select the action movie cover, go to the stroke settings, and give it a stroke width of 5 to match the previous one. With the second screen finished, we can move on to the third page. Duplicate Desktop 2 by selecting the Desktop tool, holding Alt, and dragging it to the right to create Desktop 3. The third page is for the thriller section. Start by selecting the Explore Action text. Use the arrow keys again to move it upwards, allowing the Explore Thriller text to appear. Now, replace the action paragraph with the text for thriller content. To indicate that this is the third page, select the third circle and set its opacity to 100%. And reduce the opacity of the second circle to 54%. Now let's work on resizing the action movie cover. First, select the action cover and reduce its size so it matches the other smaller movie covers. Then, select the first and second movie covers, and move them both to the left side using the arrow keys for precision. Next, select the third and fourth rectangles, which represent the thriller and comedy genres. Move them to the left side as well, aligning everything properly within the rulers. There's something we forgot earlier, converting the drama cover into a smaller rectangle. Let's fix that now. Uncheck the Clip Content option, and select the last rectangle, which is for comedy. Duplicate it by pressing Ctrl+D on the keyboard, and then move this new rectangle to the right side, placing it alongside the other smaller covers. Now, we'll change the image of this duplicate rectangle to the drama cover. Go to the Fill settings, choose Image, and select the drama image. If needed, adjust the filters to match the other covers. Once the adjustments are made, ensure the new drama cover is inside the frame. Select the rectangle, then in the Layers panel, drag and drop it under the frame to keep everything organized. Afterward, recheck the Clip Content option. Finally, make the thriller movie cover larger to highlight it, and don't forget to give it the wide stroke of 5 to maintain consistency across all the genre covers. Now that the design is complete, let's move on to duplicating Desktop 3 to create the next screen. First, select Desktop 3 and press the Alt key on your keyboard while dragging it to the right side to create a duplicate. This will be our new screen for the comedy genre. Now, adjust the text by using the arrow keys to bring the Explore Comedy text into view. After that, update the paragraph to reflect information about the comedy genre. For the circles, select the last small circle and change its opacity to 100%. Then, select the third circle and reduce its opacity to 54%, or match whatever opacity you used for the previous circles. Next, double-click on the thriller movie cover to make it smaller. Select it along with the other three covers and move them to the left side using the arrow keys for precision. Once everything is moved, select the comedy and drama rectangles and move them to the left as well. Now, enlarge the comedy movie cover to highlight it, and apply a wide stroke with a width of 5 to maintain consistency. We still need to adjust the backgrounds. For Desktop 3, select the Action BG and set its opacity to 0%. Then, select the Thrill BG and increase its opacity to 100%. Next, move on to Desktop 4. Select the Action BG and set its opacity to 0%. So adjust the Comedy BG by increasing its opacity to 100%. Now that all the backgrounds and elements are set, we are done with the design part. The final step is to prototype it, where we will link the screens and interactions. Now that we're in the prototype mode, let's proceed step by step to link the interactions. First, zoom in for better visibility. Select the Action Smaller cover on Desktop 1 and link it to Desktop 2 by dragging the arrow from the smaller cover to Desktop 2. Change the trigger from on-click, and under the animation settings, select Smart Animate with a 500 milliseconds duration. For Desktop 2, select the smaller cover of Thriller and connect it to Desktop 3. Apply the same settings, on-click and Smart Animate with 500 milliseconds and now, move to the smaller cover of Comedy on Desktop 3, and connect it to Desktop 4, applying the same on-click and Smart Animate settings. To enable navigation back to Desktop 1, select the smaller cover of Drama on Desktop 4 and link it to Desktop 1, but this time change the animation to Instant. Now let's set up backward navigation. On Desktop 2, select the larger Action movie cover and link it back to Desktop 1. Change the interaction to on drag, keeping the other settings as they are. Similarly, on Desktop 3, select the Thriller movie cover and link it to Desktop 2, again changing the interaction to on drag. For Desktop 4, select the larger Comedy movie cover and link it back to Desktop 3, with the interaction set to on drag. Next, we will prototype the smaller circles. If it's hard to select them on the screen, you can navigate from the Layers panel. Select Ellipse 2 and link it to Desktop 2. Keep the interaction as on-click with an instant animation. Select Ellipse 3 and connect it to Desktop 3, maintaining the same settings. Once you've selected Ellipse 4 and connected it to Desktop 4, you'll repeat the same process for Desktop 2. you'll need to make sure Ellipse 1 from the Layers panel is selected and linked to Desktop 1. Now, for Ellipse 3, you'll connect it to Desktop 3. And for Ellipse 4, you'll link it to Desktop 4. After that, it's time to move on to Desktop 3. First, you'll select Ellipse 1 and link it back to Desktop 1, followed by selecting Ellipse 2 and linking it to Desktop 2. Then, choose Ellipse 4 and link it to Desktop 4. Finally, on Desktop 4, you'll want to select Ellipse 1 and link it to Desktop 1, then Ellipse 2 to link it to Desktop 2. And for Ellipse 3, you'll link it to Desktop 3. With all of this done, your prototyping is now complete. To check what you've created, you can click on the Flow 1 option to preview the entire interaction. You can switch between screens using the ellipses or dragging the movie covers to navigate back and forth between the different desktops. I hope this video was helpful for you and that you learned a lot. If you did, please don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to Ace Designs.